Hi, Christiana. Hi.
Hi, sorry.
No worries. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. So I'm not sure how many people will show up. Hi, Pearl. Hi. Oh my gosh, everybody's showing up. Excellent.
Hi.
Hi. So I have to do a few things to get going here. We have a number of people joining without pictures, which is fine. Anthony, Amanda, Raymond, Michelle, Amanda. I'm Susan Verducci. I'm the coordinator of Liberal Studies Teacher Prep, and we're going to get rolling in just a second. I am going to put in the chat box. If I imagine everybody knows how to get onto the chat box, but that's at the bottom of your navigation bar. If you click on that, I'm going to put a link to a bunch of documents there. And also, if you're having any technical difficulties or have any questions, you can put them in the chat room as well. Okay, so let me get rolling on putting the information up there. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so there's a link to all the documents in the drive that I've just put in that chat box. And I have to do some, let's see, closed captioning. Okay, just organizing myself here.
It's still you.
It's because it's logged into my Zoom.
Okay, so I've just made it so that we will be able to, if you need closed captioning, that is available to you. And again, if you're having any technical difficulties, you can just post to the chat room. Okay. So there are a number of us here today. Up at least on my screen, the top row, Pearl, Christabel, and Christiara are all students and former students that we can be chatting with during the session. The basic agenda for this session is I'm going to provide some information. It shouldn't take more than 10 minutes, and then we're just going to open it up to question and answers. And I imagine that many of you have lots of questions about student experience at San Jose State University and about the program itself and the options for the program. So we'll get rolling on that at 10 o'clock. So just if you have any questions for students, now's one time to ask them. And you can also post them in the chat box if you're interested.
Well, I guess a question I have for the current students would be, how has your experience been in the program overall?
Well, actually, for me, I graduated in 2018, so it was fairly recent, and my experience was really great. One thing that I really liked about San Jose State's multiple subject teaching program was that you were provided with a lot of opportunities to work in classrooms with a credentialed teacher. One of my favorite courses was Humanities 185. And from there, I got to work in small groups with students and on one-on-one. And one of the things that it was actually really fun because I actually worked with a teacher that was my teacher in 3rd grade. And she allowed me to actually write a lesson plan for her classroom and teach it. So I won't say that every teacher will offer you that opportunity, but it was a really great one for me. That class really helps you get a better idea of why you want to become a teacher and kind of just getting more experience in the classroom.
Okay, thank you. That's really helpful because, to be honest, I'm obviously a late starter to the college world, and I'm graduating from GAV next month. And really, I'm kind of getting into teaching is something I've wanted to do since I was a little girl. But I got a late start in the college world, and I really have had no guidance, really. So that's why I asked about the program, and I like the fact that you said you've had, it's everybody's been very helpful and helped guide you. So that's very good to know.
And one of the things structurally about the program is that if you start as a freshman and you follow the roadmap, you'll have field experiences in every single semester. So you will be either working with students one-on-one, or you will be working with in classrooms as a volunteer. That's if you follow the roadmap. And then for transfer students, it's the same case.
Yeah.
Anybody else, Pearl or Christopher?
So I graduated San Jose State in 2016, but I loved being there because I feel like it really trained and mentored me. So after I graduated from San Jose State, because I felt so confident in the training with the teachers and the lesson plans that we did, I was actually able to get a teaching job right away at a private school. And I feel like it really paved the way for me. And even now, the students I've met in San Jose State, the collaboration we had in the classroom, they're actually still my colleagues today. And so we'll still talk, we'll still help each other out in classrooms. And even the teachers there, I feel like I had great relationships with them. With Professor Susan, I still email her a lot with my grad school. The teachers there are very honest with you, but you can really tell that they have genuine care for you as well. And so I think being at State, you'll really find a community of people who will walk with you through your journey. So it's a great place, and they have great coffee. So it's really good. Yeah.
That's helpful.
Yeah, I'm actually in 3rd year still. And so far, like everyone was saying, how we get to volunteer in classrooms, that's probably the best part, because that way you get real life experience. And the professors are all really nice, and you can tell that they really care about you and want you to do well. So yeah, it's great. I like it here.
That's great. Well, I think now's probably a good time to get started with just providing some general information. Then we'll come back to the a Q&A, which should, the information that I want to provide should take no more than 10 minutes. And then the rest of the time will just be to answer your specific questions. And some may arise as I'm going over this PowerPoint. I'm going to share my screen with you all right now, and then we're just going to move through the PowerPoint. Okay. Whoops. Okay, so here is, I think this is the class, am I right, some of you may know, some of you students, of 2019. And this is their graduation day. And of course, we're liberal study teacher preparation, that we're in the humanities department, and it is one of 3 majors in the humanities department. And so I guess you'll see some familiar faces in here, but I guess the best way to talk about why come to SJSU is to have a student perspective, have students tell us why, and here we go.
Welcome to SJSU. Spartan up.
Hey, future Spartans! The Humanities Department is one of the best for 3 reasons. There's
There's
awesome
no audio.
professors,
Yeah.
great hands-on experience,
Oh,
and
Hank,
great
thank you.
preparation for the field. Remember, you always
Whoops. Hold on.
Hey, future Spartans!
Better?
The Humanities Department is one of the best for 3 reasons. It has awesome professors, great hands-on experience, and great preparation for the field. Remember, you always have a home in the humanities in Spartan.
Cô đang học bài, đóng cửa.
The reason why humanities is so important to me is because I learn so much about society, culture, the reason why things happened, how they happened in history, and why it should matter to me and how I am an impactful part of society.
Hey, future Spartans! Welcome to San Jose State University and welcome to your new home in the Humanities Department. One of the things that I love about going to SJSU was that I was able to make real relationships with my professors. And so even though it's been a while since I graduated SJSU, the professors I had back then are still my mentors today. And so you'll really find a community and home in SJSU. And so again, I just want to welcome all of you, and I know that you'll have a great time here.
Hello, future Spartans. My name is Michelle, and I am here to say that you should join our humanities department. My humanities classes have given me a sense of community that I haven't found anywhere else. I urge you to join, and remember, you always have a home in the humanities at SJSU.
Hello, future Spartans. My liberal studies major has required me to take a lot of humanities courses, but luckily they're some of the most fun courses that I've gotten to take at SJSU. They're helping prepare me to become a teacher, so you should totally attend SJSU. Remember, you have a home in the humanities.
Hello, future Spartans. My time here has pushed me to broaden my thinking about culture, social issues, and creative fields. Articulating my thoughts in writing is something that required the help of my humanities instructors who want to guide your ideas into more detailed worldviews. At San Jose State University, you'll cross paths with some great professors and learn about yourself through the challenges and successes. Remember, you have a home in the humanities.
One reason why I love my classes is because we learn so much, not only from our professors, the materials and course themes, but from each other. We've created a classroom community that exemplifies our diversity, allows us to share our knowledge and experiences, and
Hi there, future Spartans. Congratulations on being accepted. You'll definitely find a home here in the Humanities Department. The professors and advisors here are really helpful and truly want you to succeed. So if you ever have any questions or anything, do not hesitate to reach out. Something I love about SJSU is that it's super diverse, and being so diverse, they have a lot of different clubs. So whatever your interests are, I'm sure you'll find something. And also, sometimes they'll have events going on in the student.
Nguyên cái ngành gì đâu mà có 4 đứa Việt Nam vậy trời.
That was super cool.
Yeah.
You have to put your microphones on mute, please. Thank you.
Again, congratulations. Welcome to SJSU and the Humanities Department.
Whether on campus
or online,
you'll find a home in humanities.
Okay, so those were just some of the students in the humanities department. The vast majority of them are liberal studies students, and the vast majority of students in the department itself are liberal studies students. And we have over 200 majors across the spectrum, from freshmen to 4 years students to seniors. And we also currently have some people working on their credential, and I'll tell you why. Because in the liberal studies program, we have 3 pathways that are ready to go right now that students can enter, and then we have a 4th one that we're working on and should be up and running by next year. So I'm going to tell you about that one too. So if you know anything about teacher credentialing, which I assume you know a little bit, but not too much, you know that you have to earn a BA, a bachelor's degree, and a credential, right, to teach in a public school. So we have four programs, and the first one is a traditional program that has historically been how people become credentialed in California. You earn your BA, and then after you earn your BA, you go on to earn a credential in 47 units. So the BA is 120 units. All BAs are at least 120 units at San Jose State. And then you get your degree, and then you go to the credential program. It's 3 semesters, 47 units. So that's the traditional pathway toward to earn your credential or multiple subject credential. And that is one pathway that we have for you. We also have an integrated pathway, which is an accelerated and more rigorous pathway for students who are desiring to get into the classroom a little bit more efficiently. So this program is where you earn your BA in liberal studies and your multiple subject credential at the same time. And I think Pearl is applying for that program. Am I correct, Pearl? Yeah, so she'll be in that program starting this next semester. So that is 130 units. So you could potentially do that pathway in 4 years plus 1 summer. We also have an integrated pathway for Spanish bilingual, to teach in a Spanish bilingual classroom. And students earn their BA in liberal studies, they earn their multiple subject credential, plus they earn an authorization to teach in a Spanish bilingual classroom. And that's 131 units. So these two programs, the integrated programs, are more rigorous and more accelerated than the traditional program. We also are working towards creating a combined BA plus 1 program. As I mentioned, it should be up and running next year. And this is for the student who doesn't want the acceleration and the rigor, but wants to take credential courses while they're earning their BA. So what this is that you take your first 2 years, and in your 3rd year, you apply to a combined program, and then you start taking credential classes while you're taking your subject matter content classes, which are things like, math and science and history, etc. That program is 160 units, but you earn your BA, you earn your multiple subject credential, and you earn a master's in curriculum and instruction. So those are the 4 sort of choices that you have in terms of pathways. You can move in and out of these pathways as you see fit. So you can commit to one and then make a decision that that pathway is not for you. And you can, if you decide on the traditional pathway and then you want to go into the ITAP, and then you try the ITAP and you don't want to, and it's too rigorous for you, and you move back to the traditional, it's all good. We have mechanisms to do that. So once you commit, you can move back and forth. So you'll notice the program design. You'll notice that the program is designed to reflect the course subject matter taught in K-8 classrooms. So science, history, reading and language arts, math, health, and physical education. Those are what teachers actually teach in self-contained classrooms, elementary school classrooms, and some self-contained middle school classrooms. These are the subjects that the BA part of the major prepares you to teach, to make you competent in those subject matter. And you can see the numbers in the balloons are the numbers of units that we have associated with each of those content areas. And then below we have educational foundations courses, which are sort of philosophy of ed courses. We have 6 units of that. Field study, again, 21 units across the 4 semesters. And then we have units in human development as well. So our program actually reflects what is taught in classrooms. All of our programs, all of our pathways, I should say, meet the California State's elementary subject matter requirements. Now, what this means is that if you successfully graduate from our program, having taken all of our courses, and with only authorized substitutions, you are deemed by the state of California to be competent in the subjects that are taught in K-8 classrooms. This means that you will not have to take a test called, or a set of tests called, the California Subject Examinations for Teachers. These are called the CSETs. And the CSETs are designed to show the state that you're competent in the subjects. These are tests like like the ACTs or the SATs. There are 3 subtests. It takes 5 hours. There's not a huge, the pass rate on the first time is fairly low. So we think that the fact that we have this, that we are a waiver program, is a real benefit to students, because we think that if you can pass all of our classes, that you have actually shown that you're competent in the subjects taught in K-8 classrooms, more than if you took a test that on a single Saturday that takes 5 hours. So today is sort of a mini introduction to the major, and during freshman and transfer orientations, which will take place over the summer, that's when we start talking about the nitty-gritty of registration and which specific courses to take as freshmen or as transfer students. All that is coming. I can answer those questions for you today, but these orientations are designed to acquaint you with the kinds of resources at the university and the ins and outs of the major. So I have posted to this link, and the link I also put in the chat room so that you can cut and paste it. Some resources for you to look at. So there's an advisement guide, which is really all the nitty-gritty about the requirements for the program and the trajectory of the program and the roadmaps and things like that. So you'll have access to that, and if you're, it will explain the sort of the subtle differences between the programs in a little bit more detail than I have already. There's a comparative road map, which shows the traditional pathway with the ITEPs and shows what you would be taking each semester. So you can take a look at that and sort of see which roadmap appeals most to you. There's a bit of an introduction to the Spanish bilingual ITEP that you can find there. There's also a transfer guide for those of you who are local and who are thinking of taking courses at some of our 5 local feeder schools. We've mapped those courses, our required courses, onto courses at those campuses, so you'll be able to see which courses would articulate exactly with our program. And then, of course, there's just a list of course titles, which is, all these documents have course, what's called a HEGIS code, like, math is MATH, but creative arts is CA. These are, and 177 that have a number after it. And these are courses that you wouldn't be able to see what the actual content of the courses are. So this list of course titles would allow you to do that. So all of those documents are on are in a Google file that you can access through that link. And any additional information after today that you need, or any questions that you want answered about the major, you can contact me. So there's my email right there. Everybody's email at San Jose State is their first name dot last name at sjsu.edu. So you can contact me that way. And here we have some more graduates. And now is time for question and answers. So hopefully answers. So I am going to stop sharing my screen and go back to, hang on, whoops. I'm working on my daughter's computer because hers is actually better than mine. So, let me get out of this completely. I'm not sure why I'm not able to access the thing.
Maybe try the blue camcorder icon at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm not getting something on the bottom. That's my issue. Oh, I see it. I see it. It's on the top. It was hidden by all of our faces. Okay. So now it's question and answer times. I'm sure you've had questions that have arisen over watching this, or something that you've been interested in asking for a long time. Now's the time.
I have questions, only because, like I said, this is all so new to me. So on the programs that you just went over, the 4 different ones, you mentioned those, the 120 credits, 131, and so on, is about 4 years plus 1 summer. Is that for a full-time student, or is that doable for somebody who also has, because I work full-time, but this is eventually the career I'm, going towards as far as getting into teaching?
That's a great question, and let me answer the sort of structural piece of it, and then those of you, the students who are the SJSU students, can probably talk about working from their perspective, because I know a number of you work. So for people who are working full time, you are the only one who knows how many courses that you can take at a time. The roadmaps that we have, just for ease, we've done it to reflect a full-time student. So the 4-year plus 1 semester is reflective of somebody this is their full-time commitment. And we recognize that students work. I would say probably 3/4 of the students in our program are working, and maybe 1/4 of them work full time. So they modify their schedules to reflect what is reasonable for them, because the idea is to move yourself through the program at the pace in which you can be successful, and only you will know exactly how many units you can manage per each semester. So students, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so kind of going off of what you said, Susan, for me, I know that learning is kind of difficult for me. I kind of need more time to work on things. So luckily for my job, they were very flexible, so I was more so part-time. But then again, it also just depends on especially what courses you're taking, because some of them, especially with the field study hours, if you can't commit to that type of time just yet, possibly hold back on it if you can. I know that some of them are prerequisites for other classes, possibly. But yeah, just kind of look at the courses that are needed for the program and kind of work out a plan to figure out what you're able to do to make it work around your schedule. That's my advice.
Anybody else?
I also worked during my time taking classes at San Jose State, and so I was an after-school leader and site director, and so basically I just put in my classes whenever my work schedule allowed me to. And I think that's what's great about SJSU is that they have a lot of evening classes. And so I would go to class in the morning, maybe take 2 classes, then work my shift during afternoon, evening time. Then at 6, 7, I would go back to school and take the night classes. And so there's a lot of extended flexible times at SJSU too, just when you could take the classes.
And I just want to add that some of the professors are the lecturers of some of the courses are teachers who are teaching in classrooms, and so their classes are always scheduled after 4, and all the credential classes for the ITAPs are scheduled at 4 p.m. or 7 p.m. because they leave space in the day for student teaching, because in those courses there's phase 1 of student teaching and phase 2 of student teaching, and you're in classrooms during those periods. So all the coursework for the credential program are in the late afternoon or the early evening.
Okay, that's really good to know and great information. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. It makes me feel better to know that there is some flexibility, and my work knows that this is what I'm working towards, and they've supported me. So
that's great.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So it says,
I have a question.
Okay.
Sorry. So I'm an incoming transfer student. I was wondering, so I'm getting 2 associate degrees, one in early childhood education and one in child development from Foothill College. I'm wondering, that was basically the only options at Foothill to leading me into like the teaching area. So I figured I'll just take those, but I want to do elementary school teaching, not preschool teaching. So how can I just go straight into one of these programs that you're talking about, even though I'm coming in with an early childhood education associate degree?
Absolutely. What we do in the transfer orientation for students who are coming from community colleges or coming from other four-year universities, what we do is we take your transcripts that you've turned in, and then we map your specific courses onto our required courses, and then we see where there is where you've met the requirement and where you still need to meet the requirement. And we do this before the orientations. If you've turned in your transcript, and we do it, we are able to do it before the orientation. And so actually at the orientation we sit with you, and we show you exactly how it maps, and then we have a conversation with you where you might be able to say, oh no, in this course we did this and it looks like it maps. And then we go back and we look at course descriptions, and sometimes when it's unclear through the course description whether the course aligns with our requirement, we ask you to get your syllabus, and we see where the overlap is. So we work really hard to bring in as many courses as possible for students who are transferring. And usually we're fairly successful with mapping most of our lower division requirements, like 95% of our lower division requirements.
Okay.
And I don't know if you all know this, but in community colleges, all requirements, all courses are lower division. So they're not courses that you would take as juniors and seniors. And so the only things that you can do at community colleges are lower division courses.
Thank you.
I had a question. I'm a transfer student from San Jose City, and I'm torn between kindergarten and preschool autism teaching. So is it going to affect much my time there if I switch from either or?
So you're wanting to work as an educational specialist? Is that your goal? Okay. So you can do either one of the, well, you would go a traditional pathway, a BA pathway, and then you would do your education specialist credential. We are working on a combined program with ed specialists right now, so we should have that up and running for you by the end of your junior year at San Jose State. But that would be where you earn your BA in liberal studies, and then you earn your credential as an ed specialist.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So up in the chat box, you talked about how you can switch between traditional and ITAP. I chose the ITAP major and would love to take the more rigorous one. Excellent. When and how should I do it? From what I read, it talked about being a college junior usually. Is it just recommended to do it during junior year? Could you explain? This is a great question. And then could you explain the perks of obtaining a multiple subject credential in this program? Okay. So, when you enter San Jose State, there's a rule that you can't transfer majors immediately. So what you do is you transfer in your second semester, which is absolutely, you're not even transferring majors, you're just transferring concentrations. So you would do it in your second semester of junior year. If you're a freshman, you do it your second semester of freshman year. But we map your courses to what you intend to do, not what you're actually enrolled in. So you tell us what program you want to be in, you want to pursue, and we map your courses. If you're a freshman, it doesn't matter. It's the same for the first 2 years between the ITEP and the traditional pathway. If you're a junior, it's pretty much the same as well for the first semester, and it's only in the second semester that you would start taking credential courses. So you can move in and out after your first semester of when you enter San Jose State University. Let's see what else. So from what I read, it talked about being a college junior usually. That's what the rule was before last semester. And then they changed it that you can enter the ITAP at any time. Entering the ITAP, actually, the way to move to the credential program is you actually have to apply, like every single person who enters a credential program, to the program itself. So you can be an ITAP student and then you still have to apply, and there's a higher GPA. You have to have a 2.87 to enter, and you have to be done with, there's just it's the regular credential application. So you're in the ITAP program and then you have to apply to the credential program. And as long as you meet the requirements, you're fine. Okay, just recommended, could you explain? What's the perks of obtaining the multiple subject credential in this program early as opposed to obtaining it in the traditional? Okay, the perks are, and Pearl can speak about this more because she's been thinking about this for herself. The perks are you enter into the profession earlier, a full year earlier. That's one perk. The second perk is that you, excuse me, so you enter the program early, and you have 1 full or 2 semesters less of schooling to pay for, right? So there's a financial benefit, and there's a time benefit. However, if you do the traditional or if you do the combined, you earn your master's, which is you can earn your master's when you get your credential. And that's a benefit because when you enter the profession, you are you enter higher on the pay scale, and that benefit, that financial benefit, accrues over time. So there are different, depending upon your personal circumstances, you decide based on what your needs are. You can always, after the ITAP, go back and get a master's degree in curriculum and instruction or in language, or you can go get your second credential in being an educational specialist. So there's a number of ways to think about the pros and cons of each of these programs. And Pearl, would you like to speak a little bit about that, and maybe Christabel and Christiara too, because you chose to do the traditional pathways?
Yeah, so I already applied for ITAP. I wanted to also add that for ITAP, for your second to last semester, you have to work in a classroom 3 days out of the week, 2 of them being full days. And then for your last semester, you have to work 5 full days in the classroom. So I don't know if that's mentioned anywhere, but I think it's helpful to know if you are planning on working, or like if you live far away, because I commute to school every day, and it's kind of harder for me just because I don't want my classes to be too late. So yeah.
So those are, but those requirements are the same for the credential program, regardless of whether you're an ITAP student or whether you're a post-bac, a credential student. So anytime the credential program, you have to do phase 1 of student teaching, which is 3 days, as Pearl mentioned, and then phase 2, which is 5 days. And so that's just part of it. One of the things I can recommend that to Pearl too, is you request a placement, a field work placement in your local area, so that you're not commuting to San Jose if you live in Gilroy, or if you live in Salinas, or if you live in Fremont, or wherever. That we have supervisors who travel. So you can make the request and they'll try to find a fit for you. Christabel and Christiara, you want to talk about your choices?
I only did the traditional one for the traditional path at SJCU because they didn't have the fourth option. I would have done that if I knew about it earlier. But yeah, I just did that one, and then afterwards I did my master's in credentialing when I graduated. So I'm not super sure about the path.
Okay. Christiara, did you want to add something?
So for me, I took the traditional path because honestly, I didn't even know about these other options.
Well, they're fairly new. They're only, this is
Okay.
so really the ITAP came on online fall 19.
Oh, okay.
So that's
I was
why.
gonna say, all right, okay, because I was like, where did these programs come from? Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. But yeah, I can't really say a whole lot about the credential program because I'm actually still applying to it. So I'm excited for that. But I think it just kind of depends on the workload that you're able to take on. I can say for my sister, she actually got her credential at San Jose State. But for her, she was working as a full-time employee at her job and also trying to do the credential program, the traditional path. She wasn't even getting her master's because she wasn't sure about that yet. But by the time she got into her field of study, it just became too much for her. So she just focused on getting her credential. So I think it just kind of depends on what your goals are as far as the workload you're willing to put on yourself and just like the amount of time that you have to do it.
Yeah, and we also, our students are non-traditional, right? 3/4 of our students in liberal studies are transfer students who have been out working. Many of them have been out working, and so we recognize that everybody has different. Some you all have families, et cetera. And so we recognize that the choices that you make are your choices depending upon what kinds of responsibilities that you and other commitments that you have.
And then, I was just going to add on, I'm not sure how it works for the other programs, but I know for like the traditional program, you're also able to do it as a part-time student as well. I'm not sure how that works with the other.
Yes, you can do any of these part-time.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so I'm just going to the chat room. Where can I find the Google link to the roadmap? The link that I gave you up there is a Google folder, and it should be in the folder. Just let me know if you can't find it there. If after looking at the folder you still can't find it. Okay, if you take the Itap pathway and are also doing your GE requirements, about how many classes does that come out to your freshman year? So if you look at when you look at the roadmap, you'll see the exact courses that we recommend that you take. It's usually 15 units a semester. So that means if you're taking 3-unit classes, that is 5 classes each semester. However, in the freshman year, we recommend that you do things like take PE, and you start out a little bit more slowly to get used to the rigor between the difference in rigor between high school and college. So the roadmap will tell you exactly what we recommend, and you can cross-reference that with the list of courses to see what the content is. In the first semester, we block schedule students into courses that we think are really important for them to take to verify and confirm that this is what they want to do. So there's a child development course, CHAD 60, that they take, and that you're automatically scheduled into, and a educational foundations course called Chronicles of Education, which is also a GE. Both those courses are GE courses. And actually all of our classes except 9 units are fulfill the GE requirements. So basically our courses help you move along in GE. And then the last one is a 1-unit field study course where you're out in classrooms. And we think that the combination of those 3 courses will help you sort of be introduced into the major, and also to give you an opportunity to consider if this major is right for you. What is the difference between the Itap program and the BA +1 program? So the difference is that a BA program is 120 units, and the Itap and then you do your credential and master's after that. So that's another 47 units. Excuse me, another 40 units to 160. So the one of the differences is the length of time that it takes, and the ITEPs, as I mentioned before, they're accelerated and they're rigorous. There are other kinds of classes that are in the traditional pathway that are not in the ITEP, again because we are condensing the programs in order to accelerate your entrance into the profession. As an incoming transfer, this is from Carolyn. As an incoming transfer, I believe I'm part of the traditional major. From what I remember, there was no option to sign up and apply for the ITEP. we'll do it second semester after transferring, yes. And you would do that via me, basically, or we have a new faculty member coming on as coordinator, Erika Colmenares, and it would be her, myself, or our advisor in the Humanities and the Arts Student Success Center, Sandy Ho, who you can see. Credential includes CSET and CBEST. Ooh, just CSET, not CBEST. Everybody has to take the CBEST. However, so let me back up for those of you who don't know about those tests. Okay, so the CSET is designed to show that you have competence in the subject matters taught in K-8 classrooms. The CBEST is a basic skills test. Some of you, your ACT scores or your SAT scores will have already will have been high enough that you have met that requirement. For those of you who haven't taken those tests or whose scores were not high enough, you take the CBEST test, which is actually all of you students have taken it, correct? Pearl, have you taken the CBEST yet? No. Oh, that's right, because it was canceled because of the virus.
Oh no, for my scores, they covered it.
They what? They covered it. Okay.
Yeah, my ACT scores covered it.
So before entering a credential program, you need to show that you're competent in the CSET, by the CSET or by being part of our elementary subject matter waiver. But everybody needs to show that they have the basic skills in math and English. Do anyone who, Chris Yara, did you take that? Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, so actually it was, I don't know if it still is this way, but I remember, I think it was for my humanities, I think it was for 185 or humanities 85, you actually, it's kind of like an assignment to do if you're, so you kind of have to take it anyways. But it didn't, it wasn't really that bad of like a test. Like the way that I kind of would describe it, it's kind of like, it's very like basic English, language arts, mathematics. It kind of honestly reminded me a little bit like a high school exit exam, but I would not be intimidated. Like it's nothing to really stress about. I would say the only test that I haven't taken it yet, but just based on the stress level that my sister had, would be the RECA.
And the RECA is something,
your hardest test.
The RECA is something that you do in your credential component of the program, and it has to do with teaching reading and language arts.
What does your ACT score have to be to cover the CBEST test?
You know, if you email me at susan.verducci@sjsu.edu, I'll send you the actually, why don't I just, after this, I'll post it to that Google Drive, how to meet the requirements for that. That's easy for me to do.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's see. So there's no link. Okay, so I might have to go in and individually link these documents. Is it just Carolyn, or can everybody not link to those? Can other people try and let me know whether or not I need
see it on the chat either.
You don't see it? Okay, so I'll put the individual links on, and I'll put the CBEST information up there too. Okay, let's see. For this last year of high school for me, I took an internship class for the developmental psychology of children, where I got an intern at an elementary school, and it's supposed to give me college credits. So the college credits would, if it's a field work course, then those college credits would go towards one of 3 lower division field study courses. Any other kinds of questions or concerns?
If I wanted to be a high school teacher, then what kind of courses would I take to that? And would this like put me on the track to that, or not really?
So the becoming a single subject teacher is a bit of a different pathway, because you have to show competence in the subjects that you want to teach. So if you wanted to be an English teacher, there's an English education program where you would take an English major, and you would then go into an English single subject credential program. Same with history, same with any, I think there's 5 different sciences that you could potentially do as a high school student. You can email me offline and I can show you how to access those. It's if for freshman orientation, for registering, if you're I'm not sure if you're a transfer student or
I'm a freshman,
you're
or
a
like
freshman.
yeah.
You have plenty of time. So basically the things that you need to do is look at the requirements for the major that you would want to go into. And then you map your GE requirements onto their major and not liberal studies. Okay. And then you would transfer in your second semester, or you could wait and just take their course, their courses in the program, because they're mostly, freshman year is mostly GEs.
Okay. So I'm a transfer student. Roughly how long would it take to finish the Itap program?
It depends on how well your transcripts, the courses that you've taken, have mapped out to our requirements. So that's a question that we just have to work out individually. For transfer students, it's likely there's a few extra courses that they might have to take, but we have all sorts of shortcuts that we take in liberal studies. We send people back to community colleges to take some courses during the summer, where it's much cheaper to take courses than at SJSU. We have some access to or some recommendations for some online courses at other community colleges that you could take that map directly onto our requirements as well. So it's an individual thing. If you wanted to send me your all of your transcripts, you can send me all of your transcripts and I can map it onto our program, and then you can sort of count the courses out and see how long it would take you specifically.
For sure. Thank you very much.
No worries. Anybody can do that. If you're any transfer student can do that.
Would we be able to just, because I know with the virus going on right now, I requested my transcripts from Gavilan and they got canceled and they're not sending them out right now. So could we just kind of take what we have, from our student log on at Gavilan and send that to you?
Yeah, just take a screenshot or a set of unofficial transcripts. I don't need the official transcripts. Okay. I just need the unofficial ones to map them on. Okay, so let's see. Also, I want to be a dual language. You want a Spanish language. Yes, so the BTAP is the bilingual ITAP is a liberal studies pathway that you could earn an authorization to teach in a Spanish language classroom or bilingual classroom. And you can look at the specific requirements for that. So the bilingual credential piece, what you do is you take a series of 4 courses in Spanish. So you take it, that's what makes it bilingual. It's the same, it's basically the same courses, but you do them in Spanish. Let's see. Are classes based on competence or grades? Classes are, I think the two are actually related, right? Like grades should recognize the competence you have in the subjects. So, yes, both. So you would earn a grade depending upon the competence in meeting the requirements for the course. And so that grade would reflect, hopefully, your competence. But the state of California really just cares about, they just care about you earning the waiver, which is that you have successfully completed all of our courses. And successful completion means passing. And some courses, some math courses, we have grade requirements for, and some GE courses there's grade requirements for, but most of the courses in liberal studies, passing is passing. Okay, after freshman year, can I change my major to a different subject area? Yes. Can I take a minor in a different subject area, such as econ or finance? Absolutely. Absolutely. And so the major advisor advises you on your major, and then you go to the department that you want to minor in, and you talk to their advisors, and you ask them to join the minor, and then we work together to create a trajectory or a roadmap where you can earn your traditional BA and a minor. Anything else? Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, please.
Quick question. Any idea when the orientation will be held, and will it be held virtually or?
Yeah, I no idea. If this was last summer, the orientations begin for freshman orientation. They begin pretty immediately after after school ends for us, which is or school ends for high school students, which is in June. And there are a number of different times during the summer that you could attend. Transfer orientations start a little bit later and are also offered on multiple times. I highly recommend for transfer students that you and even freshmen that you, if you can, you sign up for an early orientation. If it's an in-person orientation, and that you actually get there earlier. And the only reason for that is that you do registration for your classes. And classes, to get the kind of schedule that you want, it's better to have more options. So the earlier you come, the more options you have.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if it's all virtual, like who knows exactly how it's going to be. I imagine we would do for advising for the major, that we would do small group meetings, Zoom meetings, where you would individually sign up for these meetings, and that we would meet. And that's the time I mentioned it before, where we would have your own transcripts articulated to our major, and then we would talk very specifically about your personal trajectory. Okay. Yeah, will classes on campus in fall be online due to the virus? We know that they are online this summer. That's already we've been moved to online this summer. We are all keeping our fingers crossed that it doesn't move into fall. But we are learning a lot about how to do courses online. Actually, you students can speak to the transition about online courses. Pearl, you want to talk about how that transition's been going?
It's just a little hard. I'm currently taking like 7 classes, and so yeah, just like all at once and just all online, so it's kind of hard, but I think as long as you stay on top of all the assignments you have, you should be okay. Yeah.
Anybody else?
I'm also taking online classes for my grad program and also teaching 3rd grade students. And so it's been a lot. I would just say you really need to be disciplined with your time. And so at home, I know we all get pretty lazy sometimes. We just want to lie around. But you really need to be disciplined. And what's been helpful for me is that I actually create a schedule every day. And I make no excuses. I have to do those things, because if not, like, you fall behind and you get really overwhelmed. And so, yeah, I mean, hopefully this is just for a season, just for a temporary phase. But until then, you have to do what works for you, and to really be disciplined.
Okay, let's see. Do we have to take a test for entry to our general education classes? In general, no. There are 2 exceptions. One is, it's not a test. One is math. One of the exceptions is math, and the other one is English. And those are for only to get entrance into GE Math and English 1A, which is a requirement. And at freshman orientation, I think this is only relevant for freshmen. They will have, from whatever scores you've had or tests that you've taken, that they will tell you which course to go into, which English course, and whether or not you're ready for GE Math. And if you're not, we have something called Stretch English, which you take it's 2 semesters instead of 1. So you take GE English over the course of 2 semesters instead of 1, and then the other one is there's a I can't remember the name of the math course, but you take a sort of a math course that gets you up to speed and ready for GE Math. If you move to a different state after you graduate, is this certification only for California, or does it apply to other states? Are there different requirements for other states? So certification to become teachers or in teaching is state specific. However, California has reciprocity with a number of states, and the way to figure out whether or not the credential in California is good for the state that you want to move to, you have to go to the California Commission of Teacher Credentialing website and look to see which states have reciprocity. But one of the things is that California, it has the most rigor, is one of the states with the most rigor. So oftentimes we have a reciprocity with other states, but other states don't have reciprocity with us. Okay. I have not picked a date for my Spartan Camp orientation. I was wondering if the virtual open house is currently happening right now as a replacement for it. So Admitted Spartans Day is different than orientation. It is designed for students who have already put their intent to enroll, and then it's also for students who are just trying to figure out whether or not SJSU is the place they want to go. So they're separate things. And so orientation, as I mentioned, I'm not sure if it's happening online or if it's happening in person. So you will be, if you put in a letter of intent, then they would then contact you about that. And if you have questions, you can contact the orientation staff, and you can find them on our website. Okay. How long to complete our bachelor's if we don't decide to do an ITAP? So if you're a full-time student, 4 years, 120 units, 15 units a semester, 8 semesters. Any other questions?
I have a question, Professor.
Okay.
I was hoping you would clarify it, because you were talking about grades, and I was like, oh, I wish somebody told me this before. But in terms of, like, someone following the liberal studies path, and let's say like they got a D on something like history or math or anything, would you recommend them to then retake that class, or does that affect their CSET waiver or anything like that?
Okay, so there's a number of answers to that question depending upon what the class is. So there are some classes where, as I mentioned before, you have to earn a specific grade. So in Math 12, you have to earn a C- to move to Math 105. Math 105, you have to earn a C- to move to 106. So there are some courses like that. And there are some GE courses. I can't remember which ones they are off the top of my head, but there are a number of them that you have to earn a C- or better, or C or better, in order to meet the GE requirement, and so thus in order to meet the requirement to graduate. But for other courses, if you earn a D-, say, hypothetically, I know none of you are going to earn a D-, but if you did earn a D-, there would be a couple of considerations about whether or not to take it over. We have something called grade forgiveness, meaning that if you do not pass a class, or you don't get the grade that you need in the class, you can take it again, and the first grade disappears. So your second grade then replaces your first grade, and that's what influences your GPA. So if you earn a D- in a course that you just need to pass, you don't need to earn a C- in, then you would have to figure out whether or not you wanted to do grade forgiveness. And one of the reasons people do grade forgiveness is because of their GPA. And the reason why you need to keep your GPA at a 2.87 or higher is because that is the entrance requirement for a credential program. So there are multiple considerations in that question that you asked. That's a great question.
Oh, I have just one question. So I don't know how, I'm just curious, because I was the one that had emailed you saying that I didn't, that the requirement, you told me that the requirements had changed for the ESM.
Yes.
Since I had graduated.
Right, we had added in order to get the elementary subject matter waiver, we have had to add, we used to just require chemistry or physics. Now we have to require chemistry and physics because the state of California requires that you have that.
Oh,
That's why. So just explaining. See, the questions don't even end even after you're here. We work in a large bureaucracy, and liberal studies is connected not only to the College of Education, but to the state. So we have requirements from both of them that we negotiate. Okay. Can you talk about the WST that is required for graduation? I'm aware that it was almost time for me to take this as a transfer student and second year student right now. Okay, so so the WST is you take it after you finish English 1A and 2, and transfer students have usually completed those two by the time they get to San Jose State. What it is it's a requirement in order to get into advanced writing at San Jose State. So in order to enter the upper division GE, SJSU studies, you have to have passed the WST. However, right now the WST has been suspended because they're not offering it online. And if you are a transfer student and you're committing to San Jose State, I highly recommend that you go to their website and you let them know you want to take Humanities 100W in the fall, and they will waive that requirement for you. Okay, so now is the time. This may not ever happen again. Hopefully it will never happen again because of the coronavirus. Hopefully that this is it. But that requirement is waived for the first semester, and basically you just have to let them know that like there's multiple options that you can take. You just have to let them know that my understanding is you just have to let them know you want to start in 100W.
What was it? What is it again? I'm sorry. Humanities 101?
100W.
100W.
And that is the advanced writing class. So if you're going to take the advanced writing class in the spring of your junior year and you are a transfer student coming in, that it's likely you will have to take the WST. So I would recommend meeting that requirement in your first semester. Let's see, did I answer that question fully? Is there a special exception because of COVID? Yes, we should take it. You should all take it next semester. The pros about the Itap program. So the pros are that, as I mentioned, there are some financial considerations that are pro. It's quicker. It's for those of you who can tolerate rigor and acceleration, that would be a good program for you. For those of you who don't have a lot of outside commitments and responsibilities, that would be a good program for you. The content is primarily the same. So it's really about speed, I think. And I mean, Christabel, you're in a graduate program right now. The rigor, in your junior and senior year in the Itap, you're taking classes with graduate students. So these are people who've earned their BAs already. So these are rigorous courses. They're not anything to sneeze at. So there's that aspect, and that for some, that's like, yeah, right on. That's for me. And for others, that is not the way they want to proceed. It's not the way they learn best. So it's really up to you. If you meet the requirements, then you have the option to do that. Will we be helped finding teaching opportunities as graduate students? So when you're in the credential program, the student teaching is coordinated through a field placement coordinator. So they are found for you. You have, as I mentioned earlier, you have some say in where they are, but those courses are actually the student teaching. You are paired with a mentor teacher, and these are teachers that we know are of high quality and that are organized such that they can easily accommodate a student teacher in their classroom. Okay, well, it's 11 o'clock already. I am going to add, I wasn't able to speak and move through my my computer to find those links, but I will add those links to this. If you stay online for another few minutes, they will come up and you can download them. If there's any final questions, no. Thank you to the SJSU students who volunteered their time on this Saturday morning to come and share your experience. I really appreciate that. And also thank you for showing up. And again, you have my email address. And if you have any kind of questions that you would like answered, or if you have your transcripts that you want articulated in advance, you can send them to me. It'll take me a while to get through them, but I'm happy to do it. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hi, could I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Hi, I was late, so I didn't get to hear like the first part. When I noticed that it's recording, will I have access to it?
Yes, I'm going to upload all of that to the file.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it should be there. That's going to take me a while to compress though and to put up there. So it should be just maybe in the next half an hour.
Okay. So I have, what file are you talking about? Is it in the email?
It's in the chat. It's up at the top. I'm actually going to put those into the chat room right now. That's what I'm going to be working on. So I'll put those links up there.
Okay, sounds good.
And if you can't find them, just send me an email and I'm happy to individually send them to you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have questions?
Oh, I just have a quick question, Susan. Did you need our help again more throughout this week, or was it only?
I think it's just today.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
Thank you so much for coming. That was really, really helpful.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
If we have additional questions, do we just email you or could we have a meeting through Zoom?
We can do either, or I can talk to you now as long as I can do this work at the same time. So why don't you provide me with the questions and I'll try to get these documents uploaded to the chat area. So go ahead, shoot at me.
Okay, it's because I'm a transfer student and basically I did all the classes to be in the Itap program. So I think I should be fine once I get to the 4-year. But I was just wondering how long would it take me to complete the Itap program if I join? Like, would it be like 2 years? Or
it might be a little bit more for transfer students, but you know what, you have to, again, I can't, so it's sort of in the abstract. So if you send me your transcripts, I can work it out very specifically for you, and we can have a conversation about it. But in the abstract, it's really hard to guess how long it will take a transfer student, because you all come in with some really sort of idiosyncratic histories of taking courses.
Okay.
But if you have your AA in elementary education, then you probably have a bit more. You just have a bit more. You're better off.
Okay. So I'll just send you the transcript. So
great. That'd be great. Tell me your name.
Natalia.
Natalia. Okay. I look forward to it.
Okay. I also have another question.
Okay.
My other question would be.
Your other question? I'm sorry. There's somebody who has their is not muted.
I think that's okay. My other question is, I want to be a dual emergent teacher. So would I first have to like complete my Itap program and then go specifically into the dual emergent program, or how does that work to be a Spanish bilingual teacher?
Bilingual, Spanish bilingual?
Yeah.
We have the bilingual Itap. So we have a program that actually works, it's integrated. The bilingualness, the bilingual authorization is integrated into the program itself.
Oh, okay. Okay. And that, is it the same amount of time or a little longer?
It's 1 unit extra.
1 unit extra.
Yeah, there's 1 extra class that's a Spanish, an advanced Spanish class, and you also have to take the CSET Lote, which is the Spanish language CSET, that we can't waive you out of.
Okay, because I studied my whole life in Mexico, and I did my high school, my elementary, everything. So me showing that part of my life, could that be waived because I'm a fluent Spanish speaker?
The
Or
Lote can't be waived, but all the Spanish language classes to get into advanced Spanish you just have to take a very short placement test.
Okay.
And while we're on the subject of the bilingual ITEP, I do have a question. After I saw that, that was interesting to me, and I am bilingual. However, I'm not as good as I used to be because I don't speak it every day. So are those classes, I mean, would that be something I could still do? Would those Spanish classes be beneficial to me? I mean, is it something?
Yes, I think that, you know, you might have to get to, you might have to do a little brush up for the literacy piece. Probably you're fluent speaking, but the
I can read a little too.
Okay.
You know, the whole, don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
You know, but
Right.
I can, you know.
I think that that you just need to take the Spanish placement test to see how to see what, you know, where you'd be placed, how much you. Oh, see, I'm having. Hold on, I'm on twice. Okay, you can still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so you would have to just take the placement test to see what sorts of work you would need in order to meet the requirements.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I'm still working on getting, trying to find, okay, here we go. All right, now I'm just gonna start uploading those list of courses.
I have another question, sorry. Is it for sure we'll have a job right after we graduate, since we're in a way with a teacher in a classroom, like we get used to that teacher for a long time and maybe they want to hire us? Have you seen people get hired right after?
That's a question that is best asked of the Credential Program itself, because you know, it depends on what you're going into. If you are going into going to be an educational specialist, you will have a job probably before you graduate. Those jobs, that we have a huge teacher shortage of those in that area, and in foundational math there's a shortage, and in some foundational sciences there's a shortage. And what I mean by foundation, it's like that middle school range. But there are jobs out there for there were, who knows what's going to happen with this, with the sort of what happens after this corona pandemic is
Right.
Finished. So that question is, I think, a question that everyone is thinking about, but we're just not sure. So I'm sorry I can't answer more.
No worries. No worries.
What else? The TAP worksheet. What else did I say I was going to put up that I need to put up? Did I put up the list of courses? Any other questions?
Not at the moment, but I'm sure I'll come up with more. This has been really, really helpful and informative. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm happy to, very, very happy to provide information at any time. So really, whenever you need whenever you need it, that is just shoot me an email. I can't advise on things like financial aid and stuff like that, or even GEs, you know, is not what I'm supposed to be advising on. So it's just the major questions.
Okay, and I am interested in sending my emailing you my unofficial transcripts just to kind of get an idea.
Yep. Good.
Yeah, I would do that as well.
This week.
Please, it might take me a couple weeks to get to it, but I will eventually get to it.
Can you also upload the grades for the C best, was it?
Okay, so let me look for that. Where do I have that?
You haven't posted anything in the chat yet, right? Because nothing's popped up yet.
Hang on, let me go into. It says that it's up there.
I don't see it. I don't know if anybody else does.
That is so strange.
Yeah, I see it. I just
see
downloaded
the transfer guide and the LSTP guide.
Yeah, I got it.
I don't see it.
Go out of your chat. Try going out of chat and coming back in.
Not for me.
I already tried that. I don't see it either.
That is so strange. Okay, so you know what? Shoot me an email, Susan, SUSAN, .verducci@sjsu.edu, and I will send them out to you individually. Because I see it on mine, and I see people even saying that they don't have it on theirs. That's very strange. Let me go out of this one. Let me leave this meeting. So I have 2 meetings open, and maybe that has something to do with it. So I'm going to end myself on this meeting.